Well, welcome to this experience that some of you may have never experienced it before. But just a little background, I am not a priest, and I don't play one on TV either. But my name is Raghavan Iyer, and I live in Minneapolis, and I am Ananthu's only relative who lives in the U.S. I'm his cousin, and so he's one of my closest cousins that we've known for a long time. So we go a long ways back. I'm in the food business. I write cookbooks for a living, and I do a lot of television as well. I've written 6 cookbooks, and so I think by just virtue of the fact that I don't have any issue getting up and talking to people, no matter what it is about, he asked me if I would come and officiate the wedding a little bit. So I'm not going to be here for the full 2 or 3 hours talking about the wedding, but I want you to observe a little bit as we go along. And for some of you especially who are not familiar with some of the rituals and what that all entails, I want to sort of tell you a little bit about what this is. What you're experiencing is a very, very traditional wedding from the southeastern part of India, particularly from the community of Tamilian Brahmins. And when you think about, the whole purpose of life in India, it explains the billion population. It's all about procreation, it's all about marriages, and so your end result really is all about children. So hopefully there's no pressure for Dan and Archana. But it's one of the things that you're going to see, and I'm going to talk a little bit about, and you do have this to take away with you as well. But you think about the sequence of how this all happens, and marriages in southern India in the olden days, and some of it will make sense when you think about the context that this happens. And so marriages are usually, back then, you would find a lot of child marriages that are happening, where some of the priests in some of these temples, when they enter adulthood, they really have to be first married off before they can get into the inner sanctuaries of the temple. So oftentimes they're married off to younger girls, and so when the girls are ready, once they're mature, then they go into their husbands' homes. But the whole process of the concept of child marriage back then was very different. And so you will see some of the things that are happening today that is still a reflection of what has happened over the years. And those traditions that still continue on. So it doesn't make sense as adults, but if you think about it in the child repertoire, I think your concept starts to change a little bit. One of the first things that you're going to see is the groom, before everything starts, he actually threatens to go away to Benares, which is the holy city which is now called Varanasi. Before they used to be called Kashi. And so he actually makes the threat that he is going to go away and become a mendicant. And so as part of the ritual, he gets an umbrella, he gets a pouch that is filled with rice and legumes, and basic essential things that he needs to survive as on his own. And so the job of the bride's family is to sort of convince him to come back and then marry their daughter. And so, this is the only chance you could say, either don't let the door hit your ass or come back because we want you to marry our daughter. And so the whole purpose is to sort of woo the groom back into the rituals. And so that's really the start of it. One of the things that you're going to notice as well in all of this is the importance of food as part of this celebrations. You will see particular foods that are very, very prominent in the way we tend to celebrate our events, whether it be life, whether it be weddings, it be death. All of it really does revolve around food in some kind or the other. So you see here in front of you, there's a lot of, the prevalence of coconuts, which is very big, especially in the South Indian cultures. This is one of those fruits that never really needed mankind to propagate itself. And so it has been found in fossilized remains back in 20 million BC. So it's one of those fruits, and the trees and all of that is used in such great detail in just about every way they can. And so that embodies sort of a centerpiece of it. In the middle of that, you see there's a big fire that's going to be eventually lit. And it's the fire that is sort of an introduction to the god of fire, Agni. And the kind of things that they use to fuel the flame are leaves and twigs from a tree that is very much considered a religious tree in southern India. Also known as the Indian fig. The leaves and all of that is very popular, and so you will see twigs and start to bring in the flame of the Agni into the ritual. That has always been the centerpiece of any Hindu weddings, or any kind of events for that matter. Again, life, birth, and death, all of that starts with Agni, the god of fire. And so you'll see the priest actually start to do this. One of the things he's doing right now is part of the groom to be married to the bride. He should have entered into priesthood himself. And so there's a sense of bringing in the thread ceremony, which is what the priest is doing. And so the number of strings on that thread is a determinant of the married status of the groom. And so as a young man, it's only 3. As a married man, it becomes 6. And with a child, it becomes 9. And there's a knot that goes with all of that. And so there's a rhythm as to what it is happening with the concept of the thread ceremony. And then after the thread ceremony, you would also see one of the prime colors that is used in Hindu weddings is a spice that is now considered to be the wonder drug in Western medicine, which is turmeric. There was a magazine article that just said, you know, turmeric is it is really considered to be one of those trendy spices in Western medicine, and I called them up and I wrote to them. I said, this has been trendy in India for 6,000 years. And so to see the importance of turmeric that has gone over the years, not just in food, but also in medicine. It's got some properties to cure some forms of cancer. It's used in the study of Alzheimer's as well for its anti-inflammatory properties to it. But one of the key things is turmeric is also considered to be a color of choice for religious functions. It symbolizes wedded status, and oftentimes you will see in some of the temples in southern India where the women actually walk around the tree with their face smeared with turmeric paste as a prayer for having their husbands live a longer life. And so you see some of the fabrics that are dyed with turmeric. And so it is a very, very prime color. And so one of the things in weddings, that's why you always see, is turmeric plays a very central role, whether it be smearing the coconut with turmeric or whether you're tossing rice with turmeric. It's a very, very prime color. The other color that you find, which is the color of wedding, is the color red, a vermilion red that is very strong, which also you see the bindi that actually comes into the play where the women wear that bindi. It's traditionally considered to be the third eye, and it is also a symbol of marriage. And so the color red, when she goes to about 2 or 3 different sari changes, and the final sari change, which is really the key in the entire wedding, is when she actually gets married, when Dan ties this very particular amulet, which is called Mangal Sutra. It is actually in gold, and there's a little pendant at the end of the amulet, which has a symbol of either one of the gods, whether it be Shiva, or whether it be Lakshmi, or whether it be Ganesh. And so that's very symbolic, and that's when the bride actually changes into a 9-yard sari. And you think about saris, I mean, that truly, you know, these are all pure silk saris from southern India that are hand woven. And the colors, and this is one of the things about India, is a land of colors, and it's just a burst of colors that, and you see that very much in Indian weddings, especially the gold, the jewels, the diamonds, and the rubies that come out. And the colors, sometimes you don't think they go with each other, but that's the beauty of a country like India, is everything goes. And when you think about the balance that it creates, it's really a beautiful look. And so there's a sort of a method to the madness of what is happening in terms of the colors as well. And so, and after the threat of leaving for priesthood, once he's moved back into it, and then they actually start the functions where you will see the exchange of the garlands that take place. A lot of the flowers are also very symbolic in Indian religion and Hindu religion. And oftentimes you will see flowers that are hand sewn together to create those very ornate garlands. which is just beautiful to look at. So at some point they will exchange garlands as well. That is a part of the ceremony. The other thing is, this is where you start to see sort of going back into the days when the child marriages took place, is you will have a ceremony called the unjal, where the bride and the groom sit in a swing, and then the women actually bless them, and there's a playful element that goes with it. And they feed the couple bananas and milk and sugar. It's sugared bananas and milk. Again, a symbolism of fertility and for fruitful years down the road. And oftentimes all these platters normally have tons of fruits and vegetables that are part of it. Symbolize, again, an abundance as they go ahead into their marital phase, that they're going to have plenty of food and sustenance as they continue into their next journey. And then, of course, you will see the other element of child marriages, where you see the kanyadanam, which literally means giving away of the bride. And you're going to see a much different experience this evening, but here you're going to see where Archana will be sitting on the father's lap, and then the process of handing over the bride to the groom is what actually takes place. And then that's where he also ties the amulet that I talk about. It's an amulet that is doused in turmeric powder, and then the end of it is the pendant that I talked about. And that actually symbolizes and once they finish that, they will actually walk around the fire 7 times, what they call the 7 steps, the Saptapadi. And each step symbolizes, we were talking about it last night at dinner when you ever saw the movie Gandhi, where Kasturba is explaining when Gandhi's walking around the flame 7 times, what each of those steps really mean. And so you see that happening very much as part of the process. All these numbers have a particular auspicious reason why they are used of that. And then once that is done, there's a sacrifice that the bride makes to the sacred fire, and then you're done with the wedding. This is sort of more of a condensed version. Oftentimes you'll see weddings that go on for hours and hours. But this sort of gives you a synopsis of what it is that you're going to see today. So there's more material there. What I said is right in the pamphlet that is right by the door. But enjoy the wedding, and there's going to be a really nice meal after this as well, which I had nothing to do with. But hopefully you enjoy that, and I will. Good luck with everything, and thanks for the opportunity. So.